Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen, to a great time in crypto. One of the greatest time to get discounts on crypto as a whole. And one of the biggest signals to that is everybody who's in this room. So I really appreciate everybody being here, attentive during the times when you should be paying attention to the space. I'm just really happy that everybody made it all the way out here. Can we just show the room of how it's just full to the hilt with amazing souls who are now interested in crypto. Yes, I mean all of these legends who are here, I just want to thank you. And remember we said the signal to buy crypto is when the room empties out? I think the time to start entering has started. That signal is signaling that the market is at the best it's ever going to be because nobody's paying attention to it anymore, right? That's half a joke and half it's not. So when you see this kind of fear in the markets, lovelies. Just give me a second. I have ADD, please. This is the time. This is the time. If you're listening to this, just know you are the most likely people to actually make money in this market, okay? Not even money, generational wealth in this market. Because paying attention to shiny things when they're shiny is a surefire way, and chasing shiny things in your life is a surefire way to your demise, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Why is it that we're here dancing and enjoying life during this process, and everybody else is in a state of panic and fear and, completely ignoring everything that's going on in a way that's like, now it hurts to even look at this stuff. If we don't have emotional control as people, this market is not for us. Simple as that. If our emotions are the things that are causing us to make decisions as to what we pay attention to, what we don't pay attention to, then we're on that same roller coaster as always. And the roller coaster is when things are up and everybody's screaming about how much money they are making, which they're not really making, and you start paying attention at that point, you're going to get hurt. And if you don't pay attention during these times and you don't make the right moves during these times, and you haven't played your cards right from the beginning to get to these times, then again, it increases your likelihood of losing all of your money in this space, okay? So, we are in what they call a bear market. It's called a bear market, and people always ask this, why a bull market, why a bear market? It's because people in finance like to call things special things, so they know, it's a lingo, so other people don't understand what it is. But the reason is bulls attack upwards, so when the market goes up, and bears attack downwards. So, when the market is down, it's called a bear market. But what is a bear market? A bear market is when there's maximum fear in a market, and the fear is, oh my God, this thing is going to zero, I'm going to lose all of my money, okay? When it's up, it's greed. It's, oh my God, I heard everybody's getting rich around me, so I want to come in and get rich, and I'm greedy, and I want to dump all of my money into this space, right? So let's just look at what happened, right? Let's look at what happened right now. Can you please actually pull up on the trading view? Can you pull up the FTT token? So in simple terms, what happened is the token called FTT, which is attached to FTX, the exchange. It was created by FTX, the exchange, collapsed. And by collapse, it means people lost complete faith in it and it went to zero, right? And everybody did lose their money who had invested in it. That's also why we don't invest in those things, right? We did not invest in it because it's attached to an exchange. FTT, yeah. Yeah, FTT, USDT. So you notice there's no Coinbase token. There's no Kraken token. Why is that? Why are the best exchanges out there not making tokens? And there's many exchanges making their own tokens. It's because the best exchanges in the world operate with institutional players who know that having a token exposes you to the risk of the collapse of that token. And when that token collapses, your exchange collapses with it, right? And those exchanges are not interested in that game. And they know that those tokens don't have value. These exchanges just make up tokens out of thin air, and they give them value, in a fake way, which we're going to go through the scam of how that works. And then when the trust gets lost, the token goes down and the exchange goes right down with it, okay? So, no, this is BingX. So pull up FTT. So if you want to check this, you would go into TradingView, you hit this plus, type in FTT, yeah, and then you find the one that's on FTX. But it needs to be on the FTX exchange. So you could even go all sources and click that and change that over to FTX. And it doesn't exist on TradingView anymore. That's how quickly things disappear and pop out of existence. Let's go back and go to the Binance version of it. Yeah, this FTX, not futures. Just go to this one, Binance BUSD. Let's see if that one has enough data on it. Okay, it doesn't have the data. So what I was going to try to show you was when it was created. You can even go to like CoinMarketCap. Go to CoinMarketCap and then look up FTT token, and it'll have as much data as we can look at. But we're today going to go through what the scam was. Now, I never know which camera's on, so I'm like kind of looking at both. This one's on? Hi. So what is the scam? The scam is make a token, and this is out of the 20,000 something tokens that exist, the vast majority of tokens are made exactly like this, okay? Make a token that has absolutely no value to it. Some kid somewhere, usually, creates a token. In this case, his name was Sam Bankman-Fried, okay? He made a token called FTT, okay? Of course it's on trending. Yeah, now it's trending on everything, right, across the world. But the point is, okay, so let's go down to the USD chart. Once it loads up in a week, then put it to all time, and you'll be able to see when it was created. So now just click all, yeah. Okay, so this is how these tokens are made, okay? 2019 actually, they make a token out of thin air. It's just a bunch of code. They type it into a computer and they create a token on the blockchain, okay? And then it's worthless. It's like zero, it's worthless. Then what they do is so let me even give you some background, right? FTX is the exchange, was the exchange that was made. Alameda Research was a separate company that they made that was actually a market maker, okay? They're the ones with the money that make tokens go up and down, okay? And they called it Alameda Research because they knew banks would not give them money if they called themselves market making or Bitcoin or crypto or whatever, right? So what they did is they made an exchange, then they made up a token for basically free. Then FTX sold that token to Alameda Research, which is a venture capital fund, right? First of all, FTX created a token that was worthless and sold it to them for a higher value. They pumped up the value, and then because the company is owned by the same guy, he buys it for a higher value. And the way they bought it is they went out to investors, large-scale investors, small-scale investors. They went out to investors, raised a bunch of money, and put it into a fund, and used that fund to buy this worthless token for a certain price. Now that token has a price because it got bought for that price, right? Then what Alameda did is they started trading it on FTX, the exchange, right? Worthless token. They took good people's money, bought it with a bunch of money, gave it fake value, pumped up the value. Then they put it back onto the same exchange that issued it, and other exchanges that were willing to do that. And then, here they basically sold it to themselves. Value goes up a little bit, right? And as the token started trading on the exchanges, the value goes up, right? And the way the value goes up is even a scary thing. When they sell it to VCs, the VCs then become often, in this case, the Alameda Research was a market maker. And what a market maker is somebody who puts in money to allow that token to be exchanged, and they support the price of the token. And what that means is, if you want to sell a bunch of tokens, they'll buy it from you. When you're on an exchange and you're like, hey, I sold it, you often sell it to the market maker, right? And then the market makers can just buy and sell it between themselves, right? They can just have their own people buying the tokens with their own money effectively, and they can pump up the price, right? So that's what they did. First of all, they used investors' money to give a fake token value. Then they use investors' money to pump up the value. Then they list it on an exchange and they pump up the value even more. When that value starts to go up, they release news and hype, and they say FTX token, the greatest thing. Like Tom Brady invested in it. He's a legend quarterback. Many big investors invested in it. They convinced them, hey, this thing's super valuable. Look at how much it's already pumped. It's gone from 0 to, at this point, like $10. It's gone from like 0 to, it's gone from cents to $10. That's many, many X's of pumping. By that time, the VCs start dumping it onto other investors who are running in because they see this thing as value, right? Because nobody bought it back here because you couldn't even access it. Once it comes to the market, you use some money to artificially pump up the value. And once that happens, good people who don't understand this game rush in and start buying the token because they're like, oh my God, it went from cents to $10. This must be something super valuable. It's attached to a giant exchange. Everybody's telling me this exchange is amazing, and they started pumping up the value of the token. So good people start buying it, and the market makers pump their own money in as well. Eventually it gets to a point where the market just takes over. They pump it from here to here, and as we start buying it, they start dumping it on us, right? They start dumping it so the price doesn't keep shooting up. We pump up the price up to here, they then dump it on us and take our money. Okay, now the market maker made a shit ton of money. First of all, they made money of even just selling it in pre-sale and things to people. Then they make money from us pumping in our money. They dump it, they take a bunch of the money. Then once it gets to here, they support the price. They use that, bags of money that they've made, and at this point, once it starts to drop, guess what people start to do? People start to panic and start to sell that token. They're like, oh my God, I bought it at $60, it's crashing, I got to get rid of this thing. And we start panic selling, okay? First of all, they sell on the way up here. From here, we start panic selling. They let it collapse to a certain point, and then they start buying it. They start supporting the price. So you don't think that it's completely worthless because, they have more of the scam to run on you. Then it stabilizes for a bit, and nothing happens for a bit. And then when the market starts to go up, they start pumping up the token again. And they just have to pump it up a little bit for people to be like, oh my God, it's back. We're back to money-making season. Remember this was around September. Remember what was going on in September? We're going to $100,000 Bitcoin. Everybody's telling you we're going to $100,000 Bitcoin, right? Right here is where we sold. We didn't even buy FTX token. I would never buy this kind of garbage. But the stuff we had, we sold when the market was on the way up. Turned it into cash, sat on the sidelines, okay? Everybody at that point was telling me, this legend has said that we're going to 100,000. What's his name? Plan B is saying that we're going to go to 100,000, right? In that hype, retail is just running in with money in hand, just buying something that's worthless. So again, VCs pump it up a little bit. Everybody thinks that the bull run is back. They start pumping in their money. Then once it gets up here, the VCs start selling it at a pretty consistent rate. And they're basically taking people's money. Then it drops again, and they support the price again, right? But remember, it's a worthless token. But here's the crazier part of the scam, okay? FTX created a fake token, made it valuable in a fake way, and then used it to borrow against the token. They went out to banks and institutional players and borrowed billions of dollars of money against this token. They used this token as collateral. Same way, like, if you go buy a house and the house is valuable and you know the value, you can borrow against the house, right? You got $1 million house, somebody will let you borrow $500,000 against it. If you don't give the $1 million back, they'll take your house, right? They said, hey, we have this token that's worth a lot of money. Let us borrow a bunch of money in case, and if we don't pay it back, you can take our token. But it's worthless, okay? They created something worthless out of thin air and used it to borrow against it. That's illegal as hell in the real world, right? You can't just take a bunch of paper, write numbers on it and go, this is money, here's a bunch of money, let me borrow against this money. Like that would put you in prison for sure. This is how the game is being played here, right? So they borrowed a bunch of money against it, leveraged it. If you hear the word, it was leveraged, that means they leveraged it by borrowing a bunch of money against it. And then started allowing it to be traded. Basically, they allowed it to be collateral on the exchange for the traders to trade, okay? I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but basically, They take something worthless, make you think it's worthwhile, then they borrow a shit ton of money against it. Now they have a ton of liabilities. They got to pay back exchanges and investors and VCs and people, us. They took our money in this process as well and gave us these worthless tokens. This is what they did to Binance. Okay, Binance was holding some of the FTX token, and not even holding. Binance had some of the equity of FTX when the company was created. Along the way, the infamous SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, bought that equity back and paid Binance partially in this worthless token called FTT, okay? Now Binance is holding it, thinking it's worthwhile, right? The other thing that happened is Alameda Research, this company, was holding $8 billion worth of this token, this specific token, right? Which is worthless. And they were using that to pump up the value of their company, to say, look, we have this many assets because we have $8 billion of tokens. Then a news report came out that said, they basically leaked the balance sheet of Alameda Research. Somebody did that, right? And it showed that they're holding a bunch of these tokens that supposedly are worth $8 billion. So and they've leveraged it, so they have liabilities for $8 billion. But the token isn't even worth $8 billion, right? So can you actually switch this to market cap, please? Right? Okay. Right here, the total market cap was around $20 billion, and the amount Alameda is holding isn't worth $8 billion. When you run that calculation, if you tell me you're going to borrow against the house and I give you a bunch of money, and then your house's value drops below how much I've given you, then I can liquidate your house because your house is not worth the loan that I gave you. So now I'm going to get rid of your house and take whatever money I can. So that's what happened. Right here, CZ, the guy from Binance, realized, holy shit, these guys are scamming us. They took a worthless token, turned it into something. Now it's not worth what they told us it's going to be. Because, it's a cutthroat business. What he did is he released a tweet saying, I'm going to sell all my FTT because we don't like what's going on here. Everybody went, wait, what? Binance is going to sell all their FTT and they don't like what's going on here? What is going on here? And then people ran the research and they went, oh shit, it's worthless. Run. Get the fuck out of here. Okay, so then everybody rushed to the door to try to sell this token. So then because Alameda Research is a market maker, they always support the price. They have money. If you try to dump a bunch of tokens, they'll buy it to make sure this price is supported. Alameda Research first tried to just support the market and actually pump money in. Then they made a really dumb move. The CEO of Alameda released a tweet saying, hey, Binance, if you want to sell your tokens, we'll buy it from you at $22. Thinking that, that'll help ease things. You can buy it for $22, everything will be good. But that told the sharks, the financial sharks, that means if they go below $22, they're going to get liquidated because they borrowed a bunch of money. And at $22, they're just equivalent to how much money they've borrowed, and they'll get something called a margin call, where the borrower asks for more money from you because your asset is going down. So then everybody realized all we have to do is push it below $22. And right here, it's at, so can you go back to price? Right here, it's at $22. And so then what do you think everybody did? Everybody went in, set up shorts, and shorts is basically making bets that the price goes down. Massive amounts of shorts, betting that the price goes down. And then just started dumping those tokens. And Alameda ran out of money to actually support that process. And then the good old biblical collapse of the token. Something that was worthless went back to being worthless. Right? So that's how the scam is played. And this same thing happens on all the tokens. Right? This is a very public way because there's a lot of stuff in the background, like the Democrats helped them create this exchange, and he used that money to fund the Democrats. There's all that stuff. Yes, it's true, 100%, but I'm not going to go into that. But that's how the game is also played. But the point is, most tokens that exist in crypto, almost all of the tokens that exist in crypto are worthless. And what is worthless, right? Let's think about worthless. What makes something worthless? Does it do anything valuable for people? Does it improve people's lives? Is it a solution to a problem people have that people would be willing to pay for? That's what makes something valuable, right? If you're, standing in the middle of a field, that's worthless to people, right? But if you're standing in the middle of the field and you're supporting a protest around protection of nature, that's valuable to people, right? But if you're a massage therapist, if you're a healer, if you're a consultant, if you're a lawyer, these things are valuable to people. You do something that's valuable, so then you're not worthless, in the market. Now, we're not talking about humans, we're talking about market value, right? So something's worthless, somebody creates it, basically gives it to themselves, who give it to their friends, who give it to their friends. They all buy it for higher and higher prices, artificially pump it up. They then start listing it on exchanges, artificially pumping the price. We start pumping in the money because everybody's greedy and wants to get rich. They dump it onto retail, rinse and repeat the process, and then eventually the scam's up. At some point, the scam's up. And so what a bear market does is it shows you what stuff is worthless. That's why bear markets are the best, right? Like there's that quote from Warren Buffett. It says like, during bear markets is where you see who's been swimming without clothes, Up until that, everybody's like, look, we're legends. We're making so much money. This is great. When you actually, anybody who knows how to analyze these value models, you go, what does it do? In this case, what it does is it allows you to trade on FTX. Okay, that's valuable, I guess. Where's the money coming from? Investors, which is not something that's valuable to society, just stealing money from investors. And then how does it add value to people's lives? Well, I guess it allows people to take undue loans, but that's not really valuable to people's lives. That's fake value that can only be supported when there's money in the system. And then everything collapses, right? So that's why most people lose money in bear markets, because they buy worthless crap, imagining that they're going to make a shit ton of money, and then they don't. And when they don't, this is how they lose all their money. Same thing happened with Luna, right? Luna was made by a Korean kid who just decided, I'm going to make Luna. What's it going to do? Oh, it's going to allow people to build apps and stuff on it. Now, that's valuable. That's valuable. I'm going to make a blockchain that's going to allow people to build stuff on it. If people had built stuff on it and that stuff was valuable to people, they built apps on it that were valuable to people, then that model would have worked out. He made the mistake of going and creating a stable coin that was attached to the value of the asset itself, and that stable coin was fake. It's backed by, so you take something worthless and you use that to back a stable coin and turn it into dollars, and you start trading it for dollars, but it's backed by something worthless. That means that those dollars are worthless, right? And again, that scam unraveled because Wall Street knows how to play these games. Wall Street makes all the money because they know how to do the deep analysis, that tells them is something worthwhile or is something worthless. What is it backed by? Why is it valuable? And they know how to calculate the value. And when something's not valuable, Wall Street is full of sharks. They know how to destroy things. Like, when you study the history of Wall Street, you realize George Soros collapsed the British pound. I think it was 1998, I think he did it. Don't quote me on that. But he basically realized the British pound had the same problem. That technically the British pound is worthless too, because it's just made out of thin air, right? But it's only backed by the fact that people want to work for it. He realized if you pumped a bunch of money in and dumped the value of the pound, and he made bets against it, he made $1 billion in a day, and he crashed the pound against the Bank of England, and the Bank of England couldn't even save the pound. Okay, then he came to Southeast Asia. Oh yeah, it was Southeast Asia that he did in 1998. He came to Southeast Asia, realized those markets have the same weakness, made bets against them going down, dumped a bunch of money in the market, or sold a bunch of them, of the currency, and he collapsed the currencies. That's why the Indonesian rupiah is 100,000 rupiah, 150,000 rupiah per, 15,000 rupiah, sorry, per dollar. Okay? He did that to Indonesia, the Southeast Asia region. He collapsed countries because the sharks picked up this exact same weakness. So this is not something new. It's new to people who are in crypto, and they're like, oh my God, we can't believe this is going to happen. It's like, no, this is what you call a Tuesday on Wall Street. When you have $32 billion sitting in here, can we go back to the market cap, please? At one point you had, what is this? 70, 89, is this? Oh, it's 9 billion. Is it 9 billion? I can't see this properly. Yeah, 9 billion, right? 9.0 billion? Or is that Bitcoin? No, that's billion in dollars. This should be in dollars. But the point is, at one point it was valued at a massive amount, okay? And FTX itself was valued at like, what was it, 30 billion or something? When they see that, hey, something's worth, people think it's worth this much, and we only have to dump this much money into the market, small fraction of that money into the market, that collapse the whole thing. We can make bets against it, and we can make all this money. That's just how it goes, right? And the ones who lose all their money is us, right? Alameda, they're just going to file for bankruptcy now. Well, sorry, going to file for bankruptcy. And all the assets that you have on there are going to go to the investors first, because the investors have first dibs on getting those assets, okay? So this is just how the game works. This is how the scam works. Where it comes from is, can you put up the Wall Street cheat sheet? Where it comes from is one thing, emotion. It comes out of emotion. That's why I keep saying, remove your emotion from the market. Remove your emotion from this entire process, okay? Because, remember, the thing was worthless. People rushed in with the emotion of greed, thinking this thing looks like it's so valuable, I want to buy it, right? That emotion of greed is what blinds people to even checking what they're buying, even understanding a space before entering it. They dump in their life savings because they're greedy, because apparently everybody's getting rich. It's already gone from cents to $10. I'm going to get rich with everybody else. They buy it. They don't sell it because they're greedy, right? Because greed means you need to make the most amount of money. And that emotion of greed blinds people. And at that point, the euphoria of like, well, we're going to 100K, we're all going to become billionaires. You know, when you take somebody who doesn't have very much money and then you make it look like they have a lot of money, their reaction automatically is wanting more money, right? It blinds people. That emotion of being blind is what causes you to stay in the boat, right? These are the same waves that we saw. We saw this twice in the FTX chart, right? It's worthless. It was worthless back here. They artificially pumped up the value, got you into a state of hope. By the time you're hopeful, you start buying it. The people who buy it early, they do start making money. And then you start seeing, holy shit, there's people making money. I'm optimistic that this thing is going to be worth a lot. Once you're beyond the optimism stage, the market makers stop pumping up the value. Now the optimism takes over. And it pumps more, and then it turns into belief. Now you look like you're making so much money, and everybody always says, I'm making this much money. No, you're not. Did you take it out and put it into your bank? No, then you didn't make shit, right? From optimism to belief to thrill to euphoria is us pumping our money in because we're just blinded by greed, buying shit that's worthless. Then we're blinded by euphoria to a level where you're like, I just want to get richer because I'm so rich now because apparently I made all this money. And at this point, they start dumping on us, right? And when they dump on us, we stay complacent because, you know, you're blinded by greed, blinded by euphoria. It's already pumped this much. And along the way, it's kind of doing this, right? It's doing waves. It's going bam, 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 bam. You're like, every time it crashes, it goes up. 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 It's okay. Every time it crashes, it goes up. Every time it crashes, it goes up. Oh, look, it looks like it's going up. So you're just hanging out while they're bleeding you dry. And by they, the same people who made the token, the same people who pumped up the token are bleeding you dry of cash because they're taking it out of the market and they're putting it into their own pocket. Then it crashes, okay? And with FTX, FTT, it crashed. People were anxious, like, no, it'll go back up again. It'll go back up again. They're in denial around September. Okay, this can't be happening. This cannot be happening. And then to make sure that you don't fully go into panic and anger and depression, and you want, like, you know, somebody's blood and some regulators to come in and arrest people, they then pumped it up again, right? So these waves happen multiple times again. They pumped it up again. We're back to, you know, optimism. Okay, it's going back up again. Time to start buying again. We go back into belief, go back into thrill. Oh, we're all going to go to 100K Bitcoin. End of 2021. Complacency again. Everybody then anxiety, denial, hangs on to it. Panic. Okay, and basically in this panic, this is the panic stage we're going through right now. Everybody panicked and sold. Everybody capitulates. Capitulates means everybody dumps the token, and it just went to zero. And it's never going to come back. This wave is not going to happen again, okay? Now, what happens during this time is you are panicked. You are angry. It's like, what does this say? Who shorted the market? Why did the government allow this to happen? This is exactly what everybody's asking right now, right? Why did the government allow this to happen? How dare somebody should be arrested. And then you're sitting on nothing. You're sitting on a token that's absolutely worthless. Even if you have it in your wallet, nobody wants to buy it from you. So it's actually worthless. And then you're in depression because you just lost all your money, right? And this is it's natural to have this process happen. But if you're holding stuff that's not worthless, right? Because there's that 10-ish% of the market that's not worthless. If you're holding that stuff, then during this time, what most people do is they capitulate too. Because you think, hey, if FTT is worthless, then Bitcoin's worthless, Ethereum's worthless. Right now, people think Solana is worthless, right? Because FTX was running on Solana. But Solana is on the list of the World Economic Forum's list of coins that they're going to use to build the future. It's not a coincidence that any of this stuff is happening, right? So now everybody thinks Solana is worthless. They've capitulated. Solana fell off of a cliff. Oh my God, they're screwed. Da 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 da. So then what people do is they just don't buy Solana. And you know who buys Solana here? They do, because they want to buy for pennies, not for hundreds of dollars. Here, while we're all emotional, angry, depressed, panicked, just in anxiety, combine all these together, it's a shit show. Okay? They buy it here while nobody's looking. And they keep the price sideways because they're not buying tons of it. They're making sure that they're transacting on OTC desks. And while we're all depressed because we lost all our money, they're playing this game for months and years. You know, before 2017, they played this for 2 years while they're just buying it behind our back. And then when they're ready for the next run, they take that same stuff, pump it up, send us into hope, get us to buy it. Value goes up, we don't sell it. Da, da, da. And so this is what a bear market is. A bear market is this process where you're way too scared to buy stuff because you don't know what's good, which is right, which is 100% right. Like, if you do not know what's going on, if you do not know what you're buying, if you do not know how to do analysis, and if you do not understand traditional financial markets and the psychology and all these things that we've been teaching for years, if you don't understand those things, you should not buy this shit. You should not buy any of these things. Okay? I guarantee you Bitcoin is going to crash. Like, in the background of all this happening, for the first time in the history of Bitcoin, okay, for the first time in the history of Bitcoin, we are in a macroeconomic financial environment where the government, or where the Federal Reserve isn't pumping money into the market. Remember, 2008 crash happened, and then the government effectively started printing money and pumping it into the markets. And 2009 is when Bitcoin's created. That's not a coincidence. It's created right at the moment where all the young people who think they know financial markets, who haven't been here longer than 20 seconds, including myself, you know, I'm 33, I'm not that old. They think this is just how it works. Bitcoin just goes up. No, it goes up because there's money being printed and pumped into the markets. When that stops, the dynamics change completely. The dynamics change completely. So it's like, so can you please pull up Bitcoin? So right now, when they're not printing money, guess what? Stocks are crashing. Bonds are crashing. Euro's crashing. Yen's crashing. Pound is crashing. You know, these currencies which people thought were like, you know, they're countries. They're not currencies, they're countries. And they're crashing all, like, those currencies lost 30, 40%. People who had a bond stock portfolio lost 30-something%, up to 40%, depending on how it was laid out. That's never happened in history, in recent history, you know? And in that environment, remember when we say like the bonds are the ocean and the stocks are the sea, and then crypto's a puddle on the beach, that's how you think about liquidity, about the size of liquidity. When the ocean is being drained and the sea is being drained, the puddle, you can't predict what the puddle is going to do according to what the puddle did in the past, right? So this dynamic will play out going forward for as long as we can think, okay? So one thing I want to show here is, yeah, let's go back. Could we pull up Bitcoin where it shows 2014? Well, it's okay, just zoom out of this. So this is on the weekly that we're looking at it. So each one of these candles is a week, right? Can you zoom out of this? Please and thank you. Zoom it out fully, yeah. Yeah, out to here, okay. So this data only goes back until 2017. But basically, I remember in 2014, right? I was there in I got in 2012. I started helping people get in 2012. And the first panic, the first bear market was caused from the collapse of Mt. Gox. That happened way back here, okay? And Bitcoin went from $200 to like $40 or something, right? I think it was $50. And it happened because the only exchange that was trading at that time was called Mt. Gox. It was a Magic the Gathering trading card site that was the only place you could buy Bitcoin at the time. That collapsed, right? When that collapsed, everybody lost faith in Bitcoin. They started dumping their Bitcoin, and that basically made it so that the Bitcoin price went from $200 to $50. But before that, it went from single-digit dollars to $200, right? So everybody's like, single-digit 200, we're all going to get rich, rush in, bull market. And then the exchange collapses. Oh my God, it's crashing. We go from $200 to double-digit dollars because this panic happens and a bear market starts. And then it just goes sideways for a long period of time, okay, while they're buying. Then in 2017, everybody came in, rushed in, thinking we're all going to get rich. It's going to be a good old time. And Bitcoin went from $200. I mean, it was even like $60 up to $20,000, right? And it's going up to $20,000. Everybody rushes in with their money, and the same thing happened again. They were like, oh, we're going to release a Bitcoin futures on CME futures, and that's going to be great for Bitcoin. What that basically says is we're going to allow Wall Street to play with Bitcoin at that point, which people don't understand. That means you're about to lose all of your money, right? That was right here. Right here. This is Bitcoin. This back one is Bitcoin. Right here. At the tippity top of where Bitcoin was $20,000. Crashes down, goes down to $3,000, $3-ish thousand. And, everybody lost their money because they sold it all down here. And panic. It was euphoria, anxiety, panic, capitulation. This was capitulation, falls off of a cliff. Nobody wants anything to do with it for years and years when you should be looking, when you should be buying, when you should be attending these meetings and learning how to make generational wealth. Nobody's looking at it. Smart money's buying it. One final capitulation, and then they're done buying up all this Bitcoin, and it's time to dump it on you. They pump it up again. This is beginning of 2020. They pump it, and at this point, guess what happened? The government, the COVID crisis happened, and then the government started printing a shit ton of money and dumping it into the markets. They used that money to pump up the markets, and then it shoots off on a run again. Here, everybody thinks, everybody was saying we're going to get to $400,000 Bitcoin, and they just kept it sideways for months while they dumped it on us. Once they're done dumping, the price dumps, then they don't want to let it go too low, right? They want to keep it around 30K, so the scam keeps running. It's funny that this chart looks exactly the same as the FTX chart, right? Pump it up, convince you that it's worthwhile, keep it sideways, dump it on you, keep dumping it on you, take all your money. Once you're convinced that, oh my God, it's going to zero, and you dump all of it, then they buy it all from you, keep it at 30K. Then guess what? We're going to 100K, pump it up again, okay? Keep it sideways for a period of time here, dump it on you, and then boom, panic, anxiety, panic, Now, what happened here in this process was we started to see a new part of this bear market, a thing that we'd never seen before, which was Wall Street didn't just come in and pump and dump coins. They started destroying institutions. It was like, here it was like, this was the Luna crash. They came in and blew Luna up. Dumped a bunch of money in, stole everybody's money. Everybody is convinced now it's worthless because it was always worthless. Everybody is convinced that it's worthless. Everybody runs in to sell it. That crashes the market. Faith gets lost. Celsius goes down. What was the other, whatever, DeFi place? They basically, Wall Street started cannibalizing institutions rather than the coins. And that we've never seen before. But that's how Wall Street works, right? So this is where Wall Street basically started entering around back here. In the middle of 2019-ish, that's when we can see the whale numbers going up. And then now we're playing the game of Wall Street. And Wall Street, they don't like to nibble on, billion, 2 billion. They like to go after 30 billion, 50 billion, 90 billion, 100 billion. Generational wealth of nations, okay? And interesting side fact, Ukraine invested their money into FTX. So a fake exchange gets created. Okay, it invests into Biden's election campaign. Biden prints a bunch of money and gives it to Ukraine. Ukraine takes the money and put it into the FTX, the exchange. Oh, a nation that's being attacked puts a bunch of money into FTX exchange. And guess what SBF's plan was? To give $1 billion of that back to Biden. If you think these are conspiracy theories, this is just how the world works. This is how finance works. This is how money works. Okay? It's all just a Ponzi scheme that's being run on us. And that's being run in dollars. That's not even with the FTT token and all this stuff. But when you're looking at the dollar, right? What you have to understand is there are times when, let me finish this. So this was the Luna collapse. Boom, 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 everything's crashing down. Oh my God, holy shit, we've never seen this before. Things go sideways for a bit, calm your panic, get you to relax, thinking, oh my God, it's 20K, let's buy it. It seems pretty cheap. Then the FTX collapse. Now there's probably going to be other institutions collapse, and it's going to go down to 10, 12,000, maybe down to $8,000 for Bitcoin, right? But actually, in the background, what's happening is this orange line. This is the US dollar, okay? This is the value of the US dollar against other currencies, and often against other assets. It doesn't fully correlate with every single asset, but it is basically when the value of the dollar goes up, okay? This was actually a rarity. When the value of the dollar goes up, the value of the assets goes down, okay? And this is, again, another fake out where the value of the dollar was going up and the assets were going up, and everybody's like, oh my God, we're going to go to, at that point, people were saying we're going to go to $150,000 in 2017. And what you actually see is you see the asset values collapse, and then as the asset values are crashing, the dollar's value is going up. Because remember, you're either going into buying stuff with the dollar, so the value of those things go up, and the purchasing power of the dollar goes down because those things are becoming more valuable, and you can buy less of those things with the dollar, right? Or you're moving out of assets into dollars, right? You're selling stuff for dollars, which makes the dollar more valuable and makes the assets less valuable, right? So then as the dollar's up, Bitcoin is down. As the dollar's going down, Bitcoin's going up. Because remember, when they're printing a shit ton of dollars and dumping into the system, there's just more dollars, so the dollar becomes worth less. It can buy less, right? Dollar's value goes down, Bitcoin goes up, right? This is natural. Now, as the dollar was going down right to here until May, this was natural. We saw this. Then we saw the dollar start to pump, and Bitcoin was pumping at the same time. And that's when I started screaming, hey, this is a scam. We're getting fucked. Okay, and there was so much data that we looked at. Like if you look at the previous talks, we go through that data. But so much data we looked at where whales were not buying it, retail was buying it. There wasn't enough fuel in the rockets to go to the moon. The dollar was pumping. So how come the dollar's going up and assets are going up? And what Wall Street did is they pumped it here with their own money to fake this pump to make us think, oh my God, we're going back to, wherever. And at the same time, the dollar's pumping. And basically, they then dump it from here and take all of their money back, and some, and everybody else's money, right? In this panic, they're the ones who are actually buying it at cheaper prices. They pump it up to here, they sell it here, and then they come back and buy it all along here. And Wall Street doesn't just buy here. They buy here. That's why price stabilized. They bought it here, right? So they're buying in steps. They're not worried about just buying it at the very bottom. But the point is, the dollar's becoming more valuable and assets are collapsing. Now, at the same time, so can you go here? Plus, and then add S&P 500, just SP 500. And you got to go all. Yeah, right here. Oh, there's a few different versions of it, but like right here. All. Yeah, you can do, sure, S&P. No, not S&P, no. That's Synapse. Undo that, type in S&P 500. Or SPX. SPX is good. Do SPX. Delete this, please. Yeah, SPX right here. Yeah. Wait. Undo it for a second. Yeah, unclick it. And then SPX, and then put new price scale. Right here, new price scale. Yeah. Yeah. And then close it. At the same time, as the dollar's going up, so now this is stocks. This blue line is stocks. I know it's getting confusing. As the dollar's going up, stocks are crashing, Bitcoin's crashing, crypto's crashing, bonds are crashing, countries are crashing, currencies are crashing, people are losing their retirement savings, okay? And guess what's swallowing up all of that value? The dollar. The thing that everybody's convinced is going to die tomorrow. That's not how it dies. The way the reserve currency always dies is it kills people who don't understand this switcheroo between there are times when you want to be in the dollar and there are times when you want to get out of the dollar and go into assets, right? Because right now, the dollar became super valuable. At this point, if you had just converted your dollars into euros, you would have actually made money because now the dollar fell and the euro went up against the dollar, right? At this point, if you'd converted your euros into dollars, you wouldn't have lost 30% of your money. And the thing is, you're still holding the same euros. If you're €1,000,000, you still looks like €1,000,000. But those €1,000,000 do not buy €1,000,000 worth of stuff. They buy $700,000 worth of stuff today, value, right? So the point is, down here, as the dollar is becoming more valuable and it peaks, at that point, you want to buy assets. You want to buy houses. You want to buy stocks, bonds, crypto, cars, cement, metal, companies. I don't care. Assets. Buy real shit. Laptops, because your dollar's more valuable at that point, right? Laptops are a little, I'm just kidding about the laptops because technology, because of the economies of scale, doesn't follow a lot of this kind of stuff. But in many ways, you could think about it like that. But when the dollar was really valuable, you should have bought crypto. And when the dollar was worth a lot less and your assets are worth a lot, that means you can get a lot more dollars for your assets, right? Like here, your dollars would have bought one Bitcoin for $3,500. Okay. Here, your Bitcoin would have bought $70,000, right? Because Bitcoin's worth a lot more. Can you turn S&P off, please? So it's not confusing, right here. Yeah, and then close that. Okay. Here, your Bitcoin's worth a lot and it'll buy a lot more dollars. And if you just hold dollars, guess what? Bitcoin becomes worth a lot less. Your dollar's purchasing power goes up. Now that it's starting to peak, you should buy Bitcoin again. I'm not saying you should buy Bitcoin. You could lose all of your money with Bitcoin. My point is buy valuable assets at this time, okay? And this is how countries and currencies die. Currency pumps, assets drop massively. The volatility goes insane, because this happens like every 80 to 100 years. The people who saw this in 1929 are dead, right? You have to go back and study history to know what happened. It happens like clockwork every 100-ish years, right? So the way it happens is currency pumps, kills asset prices. Then assets pump because, when assets become worthless, governments print money to save the markets. When they print money, the currency becomes worthless and assets pump because they printed a bunch of money and that money goes into buying assets, okay? When assets pump, at this point, when the currency is high, you should buy assets. Then when the asset's high, you should buy currency. And you just rinse and repeat that for the next 8 years, and it'll turn into numbers that won't even make sense. Nobody would have imagined that there would be trillionaires in Indonesian rupiah in 1998. Like a trillionaire, that's so much money. Nowadays, a trillionaire in Indonesian rupiah is like a guy who has a couple $1 million, right? So the numbers won't make sense. But the point is, you have to understand this zigzagging pattern that it makes. And every time the market drops is when a bear market happens, and guess what people do? They don't pay attention. They ignore the whole thing. As a matter of fact, what they do is they go and they sell their assets because they're scared, and they buy dollars. So it's like they go buy it for $70,000. They take $70,000 and they buy an asset which is too high. Then they wait until the asset becomes worthless, until it's like $10,000, and they buy a dollar that's worth a lot more. So now, it's from 70,000 to 10,000, they lost all their money, right? That's the game of finance, okay? If you simply understand what the thing you're buying does, where the money comes from, and how it adds value to real people's lives, and you can understand the simple version of this, then you're playing this game right. Because, I know this thing is valuable. I know Bitcoin's valuable because it allows people to store money in a way that governments can't mess with or print, right? That's valuable to people. Even though it's going through these waves, people said it's going to zero when it was worth, when it was worth $10, people said it was going to go to zero. At that point, we thought it was going to go to zero because there's no way that they're going to allow a new form of money to exist. Then it went from $200 to $50. And everybody's like, it's going to zero because Mt. Gox collapsed. That means government's going to come in and crush this thing. At that point, we still weren't sure. Then it went to $20,000 and it crashed down to $3,000. Everybody's like, it's going to zero. Now it went to $70,000 and crashed. It's going to zero. At this point, countries are buying it. Okay? At this point, it's becoming global, and finance, the world of finance is bringing their finances onto these technologies. Okay, at this point, I know this thing's not going to zero. It'll zigzag. So even if you, let's say you bought it at 70 and you're still holding it, and you just don't sell it lower than where you bought it, you won't lose your money. Eventually, when the dollar collapses and Bitcoin goes on its next run by like latest 2024, it'll be way higher than where it was before. And at that point, you will have more dollars for your asset, right? So, not only do you have to understand what you're buying and what it does and why it's valuable, which 9 out of 10 things are worthless, only 1 out of 10 things is actually valuable and is going to build the future of the world. You then have to buy it in places that are solid, right? There's a reason why we do so much analysis on exchanges to only pick the ones that are exchanges that are backed by real dollars, and you can check this online, and we've done talks about this, and I'll do more of them. They're backed by real dollars, not fake dollars, which is, they can't be backed by USDT. They can't be backed by UST, which was the Luna fake dollar that was created. They need to be backed by USD, USDC, or BUSD, because all of those, somebody somewhere is holding dollars. Like US dollar is just US dollar, the government, the US government's backing it. BUSD is backed by a company called Paxos, where they hold assets and dollars in equivalence to what BUSD is. Even if all the exchanges went bankrupt, you could walk into Paxos, or digitally walk into Paxos, and you could give them this coin and they'll give you dollars back for it, right? Circle, same thing. USDC is backed by assets and dollars. So even though crashes happen, collapses happen, you can actually get your US dollars back directly from this public company called Circle that's backed by BlackRock, backed by the biggest players in the game, and they're building the infrastructure for countries, okay? And I'm telling you this because I was sitting with the regulators, okay? I'm in Singapore. I get invited to this thing, Global Blockchain Business Council. It's an amazing, group of amazing people, and they're talking about how the finance of countries is being created. And I can't say too much about what I heard there, but you can tell that there are large institutions building the infrastructure for countries, which is public news. Everybody knows this, right? Now, which exchanges? For me, Coinbase and Kraken. The only two that actually passed the test was Coinbase and Kraken. Kraken is first for me because it's a private exchange. The quality of service is amazing. They also don't make stupid bets with your money. What FTX did is they took customer funds and they made stupid bets with them. They bought all these companies. They basically took a worthless asset, pumped up the value of the exchange, got you to put a bunch of money inside, got a bunch of money from you from the token, and then took that money and made stupid bets, like went and bought the name of an arena for like $100-something million. They put it into advertising, ran it like shit, made terrible bets with it. They didn't even set stop losses, okay? And Kraken is not doing that. And Coinbase is not doing that. Coinbase is now backed by BlackRock. We've known this for some period of time. They're being backed by BlackRock, which is like, BlackRock is the owner of the world if you had to pick one, one of the owners of the world. The other thing that you have to get good at, which is becoming highlighted now, is you have to get good at self-custody. You do, even if you're a beginner, you still have to learn how to custody the assets yourself, right? Which means when you buy it on an exchange, you then have to pull it off the exchange and put it into your own wallet. So even if the exchange collapses, you still have this coin. But if you buy worthless crap, like FTT, and you put it on your wallet, you'll still have the worthless crap. It's just worthless now. Nobody wants it. You buy it for whatever, $60, and then now it's worth $0. You still have the worthless crap on your wallet. But the point is the skill of learning how to put it onto your own wallet and how to protect it and how not to mess it up and how not to lose the password and how to take radical self-responsibility in this process is crucial, right? So we're going to educate around this. We're now going to hold education sessions because these are the kind of times where people really listen. I've held many education sessions before that focused on this, but those were the good times. Everything's fine. I don't want to self-custody. I'm old. I don't want to know the password stuff to hold my millions of dollars. Custodians, schmustodians. Somebody just take care of it. I heard everybody's getting rich, Or I don't want to do the analysis on the exchange. I heard a KuCoin is the place to buy. Crypto.com is a great place to buy it. I even thought Crypto.com was great until I did a deep analysis on them. And then I realized, hey, they're not backed by the right stuff. And we pulled everybody off of Crypto.com a year ago. Okay? You could see these things coming from a mile away. Now people listen of how to take your own assets and put it in your own hands, into your own custody. You can't trust others to do this, okay? So for me, Kraken is still safe, but we're still helping people pull everything off. So everybody that I'm working with, we are contacting them, and we're literally going to their house if we can, or booking meetings with them and helping them transition their assets into their self-custody and giving them that self-responsibility, the radical self-responsibility, and understanding all this stuff. At the same time, the smartest people that we work with, you know what they're doing right now? They're taking dollars out of their bank and they're ready to buy. Even though their portfolios, they're not different from everybody else. Many of them actually bought here, you know, before they met us. We actually sold here, right here, right there, right there. We sold it right there. And people are like, you're such an idiot. We're going to 100K. I was like, yeah, but we have money. Like, we made money. I'm taking the money out. And all my data is telling me that this is all a scam, so I'd rather protect the money and save the money and turn it into dollars. And for months, people are like, what are you doing? Every single person on YouTube is telling me I'm gonna get very rich, and you are pulling my money out of the market. You sold it at $48,000. It says 70. I could have made so much money. Greed, more money, more money. And I was like, look, that's why you work with me. If you don't want to do that, you can run it yourself. If you want to, you know, it's your call. Feel free to do this. I've played this game for a long time before. Your money's out. We're sitting on the sidelines. Sat on it for a very long period of time and made some major purchases here. Because natural price action, there should have been a recovery from here. But this is not natural price action. We still have a ton of cash sitting on the sidelines. But bought some stuff here thinking, okay, there's going to be a recovery. I'm not right all the time. It dumped lower. So you know what we did? Nothing. We just chill out. Okay, it's lower than where we bought it, so we don't sell it. Don't panic. Chill out, meditate, hang out. We still have cash in hand. We still got cash sitting on the sidelines. When it goes lower, we'll buy more. Great, love it, discounts. And those same people, the ones who control their psychology and the internal state, they're like, fantastic, can I put in more cash? I'm like, yeah, it's burning a hole through your pocket. It's now worth a lot, and it's gonna start becoming worth less. And side note, it's not just gonna go boom, it's probably gonna go like this, it's gonna go back up again. So until like, I don't know, beginning of next year, it looks like, and then it's gonna fake people out and then it's gonna crash. But the point is, at that point, yeah, take your cash out of the bank, because the banks are also at risk, and buy some assets. So the smartest people are like, yeah, here's another 100 grand. Here's another $250,000. Let's put it into stuff. And remember, I don't have this money. I don't take money from people to put into the market, right? If you're a scammer who thinks like, you're gonna take money from me, dude, I don't have money, okay? This is with the people. This is with the people who have the money, and we keep it in their own possession and we help them do it, okay? So, and I don't want to hold people's money. People should hold their own money. We just show them how to play the game. But the point is, the smartest people are taking their money out of banks and they're ready to turn it into assets, because their money is going to buy more assets now, and the assets are becoming cheap. And you know what it is? Those people are going to watch this recording, okay? Those are very busy people. They're up to shit, up to good shit in their life. They got businesses running, they're generating cash flow, they're comfortable, and they're looking to protect their money, and they're gonna put it into digital assets. Now, at the same, like from here actually, from here to here, you know what I did? I went out and created a token. Not I created it, a token was brought to me, and I was like, this is a good model. And I co-founded a token that's backed by mines, okay? Until here, we built a token that was backed by mines. It's still running real earth elements, so you guys know about it. From here to here, we've now tokenized farms. We've now tokenized commodity supply chains. We've now tokenized an incubation model that incubates projects and generates revenue. We started buying and selling rice. We started running blockchain nodes that generated a reliable income, okay? What we did is we went out and built stuff that's backed by real shit, that when you go, what does this token do? We go, it gives you money from mines. It gives you money from farms. It gives you money from shipping commodities to the Middle East and making a killing on the price that you can buy it here and sell it there. And then you go, where does the money come from? It comes from mines. It comes from farms. It comes from shipping stuff to the Middle East and making a killing on it because you can sell it for a lot, right? Now we built digital assets that are backed by real shit. We didn't take something worthless and turn it into digital. We took something like mines. That's the wealth of nations. And we turned it into a digital asset. That even if the price of the token pumps up or down, doesn't matter. If you just hold it, we'll keep paying you money because the mines are making money. And the more mines we buy, the more money they make, the more money you make over the long term. Okay? And traditional investors know that that's a good value model. We took farms, wealth of nations, food. Okay? One of my biggest goals is feeding people. So I was like, fuck it. I'm going to dedicate my life, at least the next 2 years, I'm going to go full beans on bringing farms to the blockchain, basically taking farm productivity and turning it into a coin. In this case, an NFT, but the company is going to be turned into a coin. And having a company that when you invest money into it, when you buy these NFTs, that money goes to a farmer, and the farmer does not have to take on debt from a loan shark to get the money that they need to feed their kids. And then they promise some of the profits from the farming productivity, the next harvest, back to the investor. Investor makes money, farmer gets money and actually makes more money. And then we're taking those same commodities for the second project and we're shipping it to the Middle East. So instead of selling vanilla for $3, we can sell it for $28. Instead of paying a farmer $3, we pay them $15. Farmers cry because they're like, are you stupid? Like, how can you pay me $15? That will increase my quality of life through the roof. I'll never have to borrow money again in my life. And we're like, yeah, we can do that, right? And we make $13 in that process. On vanilla, that's $3 for us to buy here from a farmer and treating them fairly, right? My point is, we're building shit that's valuable, that's actually valuable. And right now, all that stuff is at bottom barrel prices. This is what I announced yesterday. So if you haven't seen the revenue streams talk, please go back and watch it. All right, because that we give a thorough explanation of how we're building new value models. Not taking worthless shit and faking it to be worthwhile. We're taking stuff that's worth the most amount of money in the world, the most amount of real value that it adds to real people's lives. You know, like it's like, how do mines add value to people's lives? They built everything. How do farms add value to people's lives? If you have to ask that question, you're not human. They feed people. That's the biggest value that we can have. It feeds kids. It allows families to feed kids. Now, and then it allows us to feed kids in the Middle East because they don't have food. They have a food security problem. And they're super happy that we can provide all of this abundance that's in Indonesia that falls off the trees to them. So we're feeding kids on that side. We're feeding the farmers' kids more money than they're used to. We're feeding the investors' kids, and we're feeding our own children in a way that improves the earth, right? But those things are super low. Those models are just starting, right? Those tokens we're not going to list on these crazy exchanges until there's reliable value shown behind them. And we're registering it with regulators so that SEC and all of them have oversight to be able to see that these things are verifiably valued, right? And we test it with our own money first. What did they do? What did they do in this Ponzi? They didn't put any of their own money in. They created something worth less, completely worthless, and then they used other people's money to pump up the value. What we do is we take our own money and take stuff that's really worthwhile, that's priceless, and we build models around it and risk our own money first and get it to a certain point and make it work, and then we go out and ask good people's money to add into this process. And the people who are smart, who don't want to keep their money in the bank, they see, okay, you know what, I'll put my money into mines, I'll put my money into farms, I'll put my money into farm commodities, or all of these value models that exist. Understand all of this stuff. Because in a bear market is where the generational wealth is made. The people who bought millions of dollars of Bitcoin at $3,000 and understood this process and took profits on the way up, crushed it. I know those people. They're probably on a yacht somewhere. They go swimming, they go diving with sharks for 6 weeks while this is all happening. Because you know what they did? They got out. They got out, took the money, went swimming with sharks for a year, sat on dollars while their dollars became more worthwhile against the euro, against countries, against all this stuff, and then put more dollars in. They're just patiently waiting for whatever period of time. How do you operate in a bear market? You buy when everybody's panicked. You buy when everybody's terrified. You buy when this room is completely empty and there's one guy sitting here listening who's our friend. Can I show you any better than this, right? When your dollars are worth more, you buy. When fear is peaking, you buy. Can you please pull up the fear and greed index? Let's even show people exactly what the emotion is in the market. You also calm the fuck down, okay? You stay chill, you stay zen. If I told you the numbers on my portfolio, you would cry, okay? I don't care. I made that money from 2020 to 2021, and it looked like it was amazing. It was crushing it. And I turned it all into XRP because XRP was super cheap, and now the lawsuit's gonna end and it's gonna pump out of the blue when nobody even realizes it. And I made a shit ton of money, and I bought a shit ton of XRP, okay? And it's a bet that I made. It went up, looked like it was worth a lot more dollars. I was like, no, I'm not gonna sell it. Like, when the lawsuit ends, it's gonna go through the roof. And then it went down. Doesn't matter. I still have XRP. I still have my coins. I still have assets. I know it's not going anywhere. It's not worthless crap. It's backed by countries and da-da-da-da. And I'm just chilling, hanging out. I'm calm, relaxed, you know, living life, building projects, building businesses, adding value to people's lives, adding value to myself, meditating, working out, helping people around me, volunteering, donating, giving back, giving these talks, explaining to the world that these models exist, right? Doing stuff that's valuable to me and other people. And Zen. Zen. Because you know who made that money in the first place? I did. You can take all of it from me. And I couldn't care less. I'll make it back again. I have complete faith in my capabilities to generate value for the world. So I'm fine. The market going up and down does not define my emotions. Now, do I get scared sometimes? Do I get greedy sometimes? Of course. It's a natural thing. But you know what I do? I go get scared over here. And stuff's over here. Money's over here. Assets are over here. I go get scared over here. And then I go, but that's why I meditate so hard. In this time, you know what I started doing? I upped my meditation numbers. Hour and a half, you know? I literally put it on my task list, meditate. It's from 8 to 9 in the morning, I'm meditating every single day, okay? Because I know if I just calm myself and I center myself and I'm chill and there's no emotion involved in the process, then I can come back to my assets and I can actually operate with them and execute with them the way that I wanted. And I have a strategy that's a multi-decade strategy. I have a strategy until I die and a legacy plan after I die with what my money is going to do. And my money is going to be deployed into systems that teach kids about their divinity. That's never going to change, okay? So I'm chill. If you're not chill, you should really think about which market you're in, okay? If you're somebody who has panic, go buy real estate. Hang out in real estate. Right now here, real estate is super expensive. So I'm not about buying real estate. But if you're somebody who can't handle all of this roller coaster stuff and you can't control your emotions, I'm really sorry to say, you're not going to make it. You're absolutely not going to make it. If you're somebody who can't control your emotions, the world will always take advantage of you. You'll mess up relationships, you'll mess up life, you'll mess up your internal state, you'll mess up your relationship with yourself, you'll mess up your finances, you'll just mess everything up. Like, learn to control your emotions, okay? So now let's look at the emotions. This is the emotions. Can you go max? This is the emotions, fear and greed, okay? When it peaks, sell. When it goes down, buy. Take that with a grain of salt. Don't just run out and do this. Obviously have a strategy around it. When it's up, in 2020, 2021, buy. When it's down, sell. And right now, I'll be honest, we are not as scared as we should be. There's more fear to happen here. These are, down here, these are the regions where I'm like, oh, that's juicy. Now everybody's scared to death. At that point, you buy stuff. But my point is, we're in the range to buy, okay? We're in the fear zone to buy. Everybody's scared. Nobody wants to participate in this space. Nobody, you know, people are happy to hold dollars in a bank, which one day the banks will steal. And yeah, that's the case. Right now, we're in extreme fear at 23. I mean, in the 10, it'll go down to the 10s. Within the next, I don't know, few months, 3 months, 3 to 4 months, you're going to see more collapses. Because when Wall Street attacks, when sharks circle meat and they eat something, guess what they do next? They eat more, right? They don't just want one fish. Now the sharks they smell blood in the water. So what they did is they attacked FTX, took down FTX International. FTX US was fine. That took down Alameda, another meal. That took down FTX US and a bunch of their other companies, nibble, 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 nibble. Okay, they ate all of those things. Now they're going to come after Crypto.com, Huobi, A bunch of these shitty exchanges that are backed by worthless crap like USDT, which is the same thing printed out of thin air. Nobody knows what it's backed by, and it's backed by crap. They're going to cannibalize all of these things. And when we're saying they cannibalize it, what does that mean? You know, yes, they attack it with money and they destroy the value of the thing, and it becomes worthless to us. But you know what they do? They wait until it goes bankrupt and then they buy it for pennies on the dollar. You know, they could do this. They do the same thing with houses. They convince everybody in the U.S. to go out and buy houses from 2000 to 2007 by creating mortgage-backed securities. Goldman did this. A bunch of all the banks did this. Gave loans to people who do not have the means to be able to pay for it, and they know that, to go buy houses that they pumped up the value of. Okay, so people were like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna get rich. Everybody needs to buy a house." Greed, greed, greed. 2008. Guess what happens? The same banks that sold them that house, or gave them the loan for the house, made bets against their own customers. They shorted their own customers, saying, "I bet the price goes down," and then crashed the housing market. And those same people, when their houses went from hundreds of thousands of dollars to pennies on the dollar, and those people are like, "Why would I pay the rent on this or the mortgage on this? It's worthless. Plus, it's not worth the same amount as my mortgage. Now I'm over leveraged." And then once the houses became worth pennies, those people became homeless. And guess what that same bank did? Because they made bets against the price going down, right? They made a bunch of money on the price going down, crashed people, destroyed their homes, destroyed their families, took all that money they made and bought those same houses up for pennies on the dollar. It's just how the game is played, okay? Sorry, I was rambling there. Control emotion. Control emotion, because you have to understand fear-mongering in this space, okay? Fear-mongering is a classic tactic that puts you in this state, because it's not just that these things happen. It's how they go, "Oh my fucking God, FTX is gone. Oh my God, they took this much of people's money. Oh my God, the whole space is crashing. Oh my God, everything is going to zero. It's all worthless." In the background, those same banks and those same institutions are building the infrastructure of the future. And by 2024, end of 2024 to 2025, when they crash it one more time in a biblical way, they're going to release the Kraken. They're going to take their money out of, the same way people are taking their money out of banks and putting it in here. They're waiting for regulations to happen around 2024, and then they're going to take sovereign wealth fund money. Then they're going to take BlackRock money. And because now they crashed all these institutions and they own them, they own the exchanges, they own the banks, they own the DeFi platforms, they own all of it. We build it, they crash it, they buy it off of us. Thank you so much for building it. Fuck off. And then they bring their own money. The trillions, the hundreds of trillions of dollars that are hidden, that are sitting behind funds, are going to be put into this space. But guess what? By that time, people who don't understand this game, they're going to lose all their money. And before that happens, they're going to take all the money from your bank. So you don't even have the option to do that. And in the background, World War III, war, famines, food insecurity, energy insecurity. Look around you. Europe doesn't have energy. One of the richest places on earth does not have the means to heat their homes during winter. And you're going to see that play out now within the next few months. Okay? Dubai doesn't have enough food. Saudi Arabia doesn't have enough food. Kuwait doesn't have enough food. Some of the richest countries in the world don't have enough food. You know who has enough food? Apparently a third world country, Indonesia. They have too much food. They won an award for food security. Who's wealthy? If you don't have food and you have a bunch of money, or you have all the food and water on earth, too much food and water, it's rotting on the trees, and you don't have dollars in your bank account, who's wealthy? Okay, whose family runs better? Who has better relationships? Who has a better internal state? Welcome to the world, okay? So, this thing always keeps going up to the top. Can we go to the Wall Street cheat sheet? Please and thank you. Right now, fear isn't peaked. Fear is going to peak right here, okay? Whereas we're still in this capitulation phase of the whole market. It's probably going to go lower because these things take a long time to play out. Like I'm saying, they crash FTX, fear, capitulation. Then the market returns. Everybody thinks everything's fine. another crash. I don't know, crypto.com is going down. Oh my God, bonds are crashing. Oh my God, stocks are crashing. Oh my God, the whole world's collapsing. Oh my God, I don't know, now they're breaking the financial system. So it's going to be like, oh my God, the entire financial system's broken and we can't move money. And everybody will panic and everybody will sell everything that they have to try to get money because they think everything's breaking. And then what's going to happen? They're going to print a bunch of money and pump it into the market, and then we're off on the races again. And then we're not going to buy it here. We're going to be in disbelief here because we're like, no. I remember FTX because I have a 6-month memory. I have a year memory. But like after a year, you're like, oh, whatever, that's ancient. In the ancient times, FTX collapsed. Everything's fine now. We'll become hopeful again because they're pumping money. They're pumping into the markets again. We'll go back up again. You won't sell again. This room will fill up again. And at that point, I'll scream, start selling. This room is way too full. We need to get a bigger room to do these conventions. And then you won't sell, and then you'll be complacent, and then and then it'll crash, and then they'll just take all the money from your bank, and then you won't have the money to buy on the other side, and then they're going to bring in their own money. By the time the hundreds of trillions of dollars comes, you won't have the means to buy it. Okay? That's the psychology that plays out. And it just goes like that again and again. The patient people, the people who are chill, here, they're chill. They meditate. They create a nervous system that does not get angry. They're chill. Before we started this recording, we were dancing. Because you know what? We just dance all the time. Good times, bad times, who gives a shit? Dance. Life is too short to not dance. They don't get angry. They don't panic. They meditate. They don't go into depression because they meditate. And they love, and they have families, and they have good relationships, and they have good things around them that don't send them into depression. They don't go into disbelief because they believe, they know what they're buying. They have deep belief. They've done their analysis. They've spent the time knowing what they're buying. Because they're in a meditative state, at this point, they're like, logically speaking, logically speaking, dollar is up. I have too many dollars sitting around. I don't want my money to sit around for whatever reason. I'd like to protect it and stuff. Let's logically build systems that are backed by real shit. Let's put it in there. That makes sense. I think mining is going to be valuable because metals are becoming, there's a metal shortage. If you just look it up, you would notice that. There's a food security problem, then let's maybe invest in food because, people want food. There's commodities issues, let's invest in commodities. Let's invest in real shit. And then they get to this side, and because they meditate, they don't become hopeful. They don't jump in because they have hope. Everybody has hope in that point, but they're not acting because of hope because they have a stable psychology. By the time they feel optimism, because they've gone through this process and they probably purchased down here, by the time they get to optimism, they're sitting on profit. So you know what they do? Start taking profit out of the market. And once you've gone through these waves, at least once, you'll get this if you have this education. Once you go through a few times, it's just natural, it's obvious, And they start logically meditating and taking stuff out of the market. And they're not greedy. They don't go into euphoria. Because they're meditating, right? They're chill. Their emotional state doesn't change according to some number on a screen. They just keep taking money out of the markets, and they have stop losses that they set along the way. Here, they set it here. Once it's up here, they set it here. Once it's up here, they set it here. Once it's up here, they set it here. Right? Once it's up here, they set it here. Most greedy people are like, but what about this money? I want to make all this money. It's like, you're taking pieces out along the way. Once it's up here, they set it here. Okay? Actually, once it's up here, they set it here. Once it's up here, they set it here. And then eventually it knocks them out and they get out at 48,000 instead of 70,000. It's not that complicated, but they're just meditating along the way and they're patient enough to ride through these. The people who actually bought here at 70 and are down here, if they just leave it for a couple years, they'll be happy. I know people who bought here at $20,000 last time look like idiots and their families told them that they're idiots and then they became millionaires. Because they played this game well and they had the patience to go through it and they had a solid enough life and a solid enough psychology to last to the other side. So, how do you navigate through a bear market? By meditating. Meditating. You have a strategy. When I keep saying you should have a strategy, this is what I mean. You know your psychological state. That's why the course that I take people through is their self-analysis of understanding who they are deeply. What is their state? What are their goals? What is the life that they have? How much expenditure do they have per month? How much do they need to live? How much should they put into revenue streams? How much should they put into the market? How much should go everywhere, and then they sit and they logically, meditatively execute that plan, okay? Having a plan that's built around who you specifically are and how you should operate and how you can be manipulated into these psychological games, and then understanding and participating and learning and understanding throughout the process and becoming more knowledgeable and valuable yourself, that's huge. Secondly, don't tune out here. Okay, don't tune out here. Because this is where the generational wealth is made. Right? This is where you get to buy Bitcoin for $3,500. Nobody cares. You know when they cared? When it was $70,000. Like, do you want to buy a house when it's too expensive? No. But you know what people do? They buy houses when they're too expensive because they see everybody else getting rich. Because they don't understand that they're just being manipulated by the wealthiest people on the other side who know how to play this game. The other thing you do during bear markets is you buy. Not that complicated, right? When stuff's cheap, you buy. And then it goes lower and you buy more. And it goes lower and then you buy more. And then it goes lower and then you run out of money. Then you go make some money. Right? Because life is real. Like you can add value to people's lives. Go make some money. And then have a strategy around how much of that money is for lifestyle, how much of that money is for your kids, how much of that money is for whatever you want to do, and how much of that money is for investing. Buy more. And you just nibble. And remember, Wall Street doesn't buy here always. Wall Street buys here. They make money here, and then they buy a little bit here. Then they crash it down, and they buy a little bit here. That's why the price does this. Then they crash it again, and then they buy a little bit here. And crash it again, they buy a little bit here. Crash it again, they buy a little bit here. And then they just little bit, you're panic, little bit, buying in the background while you're not looking, little bit, and then they have all of it, a lot of it, right? And then the rest of us are just holding our shit. We're not selling it. So then eventually they run out of idiots to buy from. And if you're offended by that, you think about what that means. Are you one of the idiots who's doing this? In which case you're an idiot, right? I'm an idiot sometimes too, trust me. I'm an idiot a lot of times. Sometimes I enjoy being an idiot, but the point is, that was so dumb. The point is, just chill out. Know your internal state, know who you are, know what you're doing, know what your plan is, know the risks that are out there. Now the game has changed completely. So let me explain to you how the game has changed, okay? We're in a completely different part of history than has existed for our entire lifetime. Go back and watch my Cycles of History talk. Please go back and watch my Cycles of History talk. If there's just one talk that you watch, just watch the Cycles of History talk. And then the second one would be the how crypto is the new world order and how the old world order dies. And that's the Ray Dalio talk where I talk over that and it explains how world orders die in history and why this world order is going to die. The death of a world order is not something we've gone through, right? It happened between 1930 and 1945 and ended in World War II. And World War II was something that was not, we didn't even, that hadn't happened in history until the Civil War. And then before that, it was the American War. I'm pretty sure I'm missing a war in there somewhere. I think it was the French War and the Civil War. But my point is, these times in history only happen after the people who witnessed the last one died. So as far as we're concerned, we cannot fathom countries collapsing. We cannot fathom currencies collapsing. We cannot fathom dollars going to zero. We cannot fathom banks stealing all of our money. We cannot fathom guns being shot in our front yards, bombs being dropped. We cannot fathom famines and people dying. We can't fathom that because we're like, that's not how my world has worked. I'm 33. I've lived a lot of life from 1989 until now. In my lifetime, that's never happened. Our parents will say the same thing. Well, it's in my lifetime, the whole time, you just bought a house and you got rich. And the grandparents are like, we used to buy bonds. We got 18% on bonds. That's what's to buy. That's safe. That war stuff's not going to happen. We're too evolved or intelligent or whatever for that. So we never imagined that this part of history will happen. But this part of history is happening live, my love. Russians had $680 billion taken from them. Like that. I know, I have Russian friends who were living in giant villas at one day, and the next day they're walking on the side of the road because they can't even buy a scooter because they can't get their money out of places. $680 billion. Why? The US said, you're Russian. Why? Russians are not people? Russians are some of the best people I've met. I really like Russians. Okay? Okay. You don't like Russians? That's okay. That's a you thing. Okay? Sri Lankans. Sri Lankans. Man, they're sweet people. They're amazing. They never did anything to anybody. Right? That country's gone. Sri Lanka's gone as a country. If you don't know that, look around you. Lebanon, gone. Syria, Iran, Middle East, blown up. South America, Ecuador, Venezuela, gone. Tonga, gone. Like gone as in they turned into, like they collapsed. There's no fuel. There's no food. There's no money in the banks. China. Come on, China, bro. China's the second biggest country in the world. People are being kept in their houses like dogs, and when they go to a bank, they can't get their money out. And what was it, 90% of their investments or something? Don't quote me on that. Between 70 and 90% of their investments were in real estate, and the entire real estate bubble collapsed. And when they went to the banks to get their money back, the banks just pulled out guns and went, what did you just say? Fuck off. China. Chinese can't get their money out. Russians can't get their money out. That is how this thing goes. That's how this collapse happens. So we are in that time. Okay? And I've been yelling from the rooftops that this was going to happen for like, I literally have I have video, I'll send you guys this, okay? I have videos back when the VR headsets came out. I got a 360 camera in like 2016 because I was like, metaverse, I'm going to make videos for the metaverse. That's where all the stuff is going. Time to make some cool shit for the metaverse. So I'm hiking through the mountains of Canada with a 360 camera with beautiful views around, terrible resolution. And I'm just telling future generations, like, we knew it was going to collapse. We knew it. And we're so sorry. We apologize. We fucked it up. We fucked up the earth. We fucked up the financial system. We fucked all of it up. It's going to blow up. And we know it. And I'm just telling you that we know it 100%. And we're sorry that we can't stop it. This is how we are. Our generations are fucked. Hopefully you guys saved this. We dearly apologize to you. And I hope you enjoy this video. Like and subscribe. Right? So we've known this for a very long period of time. And it's a joke. It's a joke being played on us. Because what happens is every 100-ish years, the owners of the world blow the whole thing up. They raise it to the ground. The same way that the people in 1944 could not have imagined. UK people could not have imagined. Germans could not have imagined. Italians, Indians, they could not have imagined their entire country being leveled with bombs. If you Google this, right? YouTube this. Family from Germany right before World War II. It's a video, okay? It's a guy with a hand camera sitting with his family. And this is when Germany is being attacked, okay? And he's with his family and he's hanging out and they're laughing and you see those people. They're happy, they're aloof. They cannot fathom that war and death is coming to their door. They're just like us. They're us. They're our grandparents, great-grandparents' age. And seeing that, I was like, holy shit, I see myself in them. Not myself, because I'm fucking building shit, all right? I've been building the exits. I've been getting my food security in order. I didn't see myself in them, but I saw beautiful souls in them who do not know what's coming, and they do not know what's at their doorstep, and they do not know what's happening. This financial stuff, that's the least of your worries. We have 3 years to figure out how we're going to protect our families, how we're going to have food security, how we're going to get our money out of banks and put it in places that's safe, how we're going to get our family out of tyrannical countries like Germany and Canada and Australia. Listen to what I just said. Tyrannical countries like Germany, Australia, and Canada. Those were some of the best countries in the world to be in. Ukraine was one of the best countries to be in. It's so beautiful. People were like, they would wax poetic about Ukraine. Boom, gone. Okay? So yeah, shit's changed. Shit's changed. We're in a different time now. It's nothing like you're used to. It's nothing like your history. And it's gonna play out no matter what. You can meditate all you want and, try to manifest it all you want. You gotta take action against it. In finances, we're in crypto specifically, but in finances also, this is the death of those systems. the death of currencies, the death of countries, the death of bonds, the death of stocks. In many ways, the death of crypto. You're going to see 90% of the crypto space die by 2026. 90% of it will die. I mean, go back to 2017. Look at the cryptos that existed then. 90% are worthless. Okay? 10% survived. A bunch more were created. Most of them are scams. They're going to die. But Wall Street is attacking. They're going to take everything. All these people who think they're going to decentralize the world, no, they're not. You think you're going to decentralize finance? Good luck, buddy. Good luck. The US murders countries. Soros blows up whole countries for finance. You think they're going to let kids build the future of finance? You think they're going to let little kids like Sam Bankman-Fried or what's his name, Do Kwon, little kids who want to build a new, brighter, equal future? Sorry, that's not how it works. They let you build it, and then they just put a bullet in your head, and then they take it from you, and then they run it. And that's the process that you're going through, the cannibalization of the systems. That's also why the stuff I'm building, we built, it's already built and working, the farms and the mines and the commodities. I took it to them first. I was like, hey, we're building this stuff. What do you think? And they're like, that's genius. That's genius. Spoke to banks, that's genius. Spoke to VCs, that's genius. Ministers, governments, that's genius. As a matter of fact, we'll help you because that's the kind of stuff we want to make money from. And just remember, you don't own it. We will buy it. We will own it. And it's like, okay, let me just get my people in there first, just pennies in there first. Then you guys get to come in and, buy it up. But we're going to code into the code that you cannot rape the farmers. You want to buy it? Buy it. You want to buy the tokens for the mines? Buy it. You want to make money from mining, right? You want the wealth of nations? Buy it. But you cannot take the mines. It's in the code. That's just how we built the system. You want to put money in? Put money in. It's going to feed people. It's in the code that it's going to feed people. The farms, you can't take the farms. We built the code like that. And you can't fuck with code because you don't even know how to build code. We build the code. Okay? We're building the code. So the farmer keeps owning the farm. You get to give the farmer money and take them out of debt. You get to provide the farmer with more money. Middle East gets to provide the farmer with more money, but they never take the farm from the farmer. The farmer owns the farm. The farmer makes more money. The farmer gets to feed their kids. We'll solve the problem of pollution and organic waste. Go back and watch the talk from yesterday. I'm not going to go over all this stuff. Please go back and watch all that stuff. But we're building the code where the fairness is built into the code. And then you get to buy it. Then we definitely want you to buy it. As a matter of fact, then you should put the sovereign wealth fund money into this stuff and feed millions more farmers. Please go ahead. Absolutely. Own it. Take it. We don't give a shit. I don't want to own it. It's not mine. I just built it. I'll take a little piece. It's fine. Right? But this is the process that's happening. They're cannibalizing everything. They're taking everything. They're destroying the whole entire old world, and they're building a new system. And the new system is built on digital assets. It's ISO 20022 banking system. It's completely new regulations, a completely new way of structuring society. 5 years ago, if I told you the government is going to tell you you are going to stay inside of your house at gunpoint, or we're sending you to prison. You're going to wear a diaper on your face every single place that you go, and we're going to forcefully inject you with stuff into your body. If I told you that, you'd be like, you're fucking ridiculous. And I did tell people this, okay? I did tell people this. And they're like, you're fucking ridiculous. You're a kook, you're a nut, put a tinfoil hat on. And then you realize, wait, the tinfoil hat people were right. They did that, and now it's the norm. This is the new way of doing things. When they say go inside, you go inside. Rights? What rights? What are you talking about, rights? You don't even have rights over your own body. You don't have human rights. It's live. The world has shifted completely. Okay? Back from the monologue. If you still don't get it, it's getting to be pretty late. And I'm getting to be pretty tired. If you're already not building your exit, it's not going to happen. All right? And by the time this stuff happens, I'm not going to be doing this. I got a farm. I'm putting all my good people on the farm. We're growing veggies and fruits. And there's people escaping countries right now who know what's going on, and they're taking care of themselves, and they're adding value to people's lives. I'm just building a community around me of people who are doing that. and we're doing stuff to do good things for people and build farms and stuff and help farmers and feed people, in 3 years, it's going to be all for naught. In 2 years, you're going to see all this stuff play out. If you're listening to this, you're probably awake anyway. But if you're still unsure about these things happening, I hope there's enough data for you to now see that this is live. This isn't bullshit. This is happening in front of you and all around you. Currencies are collapsing. Countries are collapsing. World War III has started. Okay? Ukraine and Russia are in war. US and Russia are in de facto war. They're in a money war. There's a cyber war going on where there's attacks happening on different countries. They're going to go to war with China. China is right next to Taiwan. Taiwan has TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, that produces all of the chips in the world, all of the important chips in the world. They just blocked. So there's a technology war that's already live, that's happening right in front of you that you don't even see. The US just put sanctions on China so they can't get ASML lithography machines that actually create those chips that are 5 to 7 nanometer chips and smaller chips, which means China cannot build their technology, which means they're being attacked in a way where their technology has been broken down, which means China is going to have to take Taiwan, which means the US will go to war with China, which means World War III is here. The oil wars have started around you. You probably didn't even notice, right? That Saudi Arabia has raised the price of oil for the US and has reduced the price of oil for Southeast Asia and Asia in general. They're here, or they're right here, like in Bali. They're like right there. Like we can like drive up to them. Gozian just did a presentation right next to them, next to Putin, next to, Jokowi, next to Biden. They're all here. You know what they did? You know what Indonesia did? They told Biden to chill the fuck out. They said, we're going to build a relationship with Russia the same way that we have a relationship with you and China. We're completely bipartisan and calm the hell down. We're going to trade with them just the same. You don't get to tell us what to do. Saudi Arabia, Biden called Saudi Arabia and the guy didn't even pick up the phone. What a gangster move. What's his name? The guy. There's too many 3-lettered people for me to remember. But the legend who runs Saudi Arabia, I love that guy. He's a legend. Genuine legend. Okay? Biden called and he didn't even pick up the phone. Biden goes down and he's like, hey, can you provide us oil? And they're like, yeah. And then they cut the amount of oil that they're providing. It's just middle finger up. Biden's like, you're going to have repercussions. Then they're like, we don't listen to you anymore. All right? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, they're coming together into the BRICS coalition to stop using the US dollar. Currency wars are happening. Oil wars are happening. The dollar was tied to the value of oil. The dollar was tied to the value of oil because the Saudis would sell oil in dollars. Any country that stopped selling oil in dollars got collapsed. Okay? Gaddafi said that. They put a sword in his ass. Saddam said, I'm going to stop trading in dollars. They blew up the country. Venezuela, which actually has the most amount of oil in the world, said they're not going to trade in dollars. They blew up the country. It's one of the poorest countries on the planet. Okay? Saudi Arabia was the last main big player that was saying we're only going to trade in dollars, the oil in dollars, so dollars are backed by oil. And they now said, no, we're going to start trading in euros. We're going to start trading in our own currency. They're figuring out all this stuff. Currency wars are happening. Oil wars are happening. Tech wars are happening. Psychological wars are happening. TikTok shows engineering videos in China and shows dumb dancing videos in the US to dumb down their children and have a generational psychological war. I don't care if you believe it or not. It's happening, love. Okay? What does that all have to do with this? This is just a representation of that. This is just a representation of that. The fear is not just because of what's happening in financial markets. The fear is because everything that we put our money into is collapsing. They're not printing money. You know when they print money? When shit breaks, when world wars happen. Because they print money to fund those wars. So first they're going to use the excuse of the banking system breaking. Print money, we go on another run. Then they're going to collapse the entire system. That's going to be terrible. Everything crashes, people lose all their money, steal everything from the banks. Then they're going to go into full-on World War III, hot war, cold war, cyber war, war at your doorstep. No food reaching tables, no energy reaching tables, depending on which table you're sitting at and which country you're sitting in. And then 2026, It's done. This whole system is razed to the ground. We're equivalent to UK and end of World War II, Germany and end of World War II, and then a new system gets built out of that. And we're building the new fucking system. Okay? So get yourself out of this burning ship. Get yourself into the new burning ship. The other reason why you need to meditate is because this shit that's coming is going to be traumatic. It's already traumatic beyond belief. It's traumatic for so many people. Right now, our Russian friends are fleeing Russia because they're forcefully sending them to the army, to Ukraine, to kill people that they don't even want to kill. They're traumatized. The Ukrainians are being murdered. They're traumatized. The Sri Lankans don't have food. They're traumatized. The Lebanese are dying. They're traumatized. Africa's dying. There's trauma is already happening across the world, but this trauma is coming to a white country near you, or most countries near you. It's coming to Europe now. People are traumatized from COVID. The countries that we thought were the safest countries have the trauma. And you have to meditate, and you have to center yourself through the most chaotic process. And it's not a coincidence that this extreme chaos that's happening is going to be at the same time as when they pull out all of their money out of the big pockets that they have and they put it into this new system while we're not looking. While we're so emotionally panicked and depressed and distraught, that's when they pull out their dollars. So the last thing you're thinking about is getting rich. You're thinking about suicide. Yeah, this is one of those. This is one of those talks. It's not going on YouTube for sure. It's gonna be unlisted. We're gonna have to hide this one. Centeredness is important, but also patience is important, right? We've forgotten that generational wealth takes a lifetime to build. Used to take a lifetime to build. If I tell you now you'll be generationally wealthy within 10 years, nobody even listens. Okay, I'll tell you 5 years. 5 years? Come on, not 5 years? For me to go from 33 to 38 to have generational wealth and true wealth, not money, wealth, where I sleep knowing that I did something good for the earth and I'm feeding people and I get good karma. 5 years, that's it. I've dedicated 20 years of my life. Since I was like 13, I've been on this mission. I can dedicate another 5 years, but nobody wants to have that patience. Okay, 2 years. Chill. ADD generation, 2 years. 2 years? You can't wait 2 years to get insanely rich? Because you probably, if you don't have patience, then you probably just want to get rich in like dollar numbers. But I don't care. Getting rich that's your prerogative. That's okay. That's your success. 2 years. You can't wait 2 years. Patience, my love. Oh, you've been in the market for 9 months. You haven't gotten rich yet. Oh, you've been here for a year and a half. Wear Lambo. Patience. Hold only solid shit. If you can't tell what it does, if you can't tell where the money comes from, and if you can't tell how it improves people's lives, and you can't tell me that in one sentence each, don't buy it. Everybody says do your own research, but just answer those 3 questions in one sentence. And if you can't, go learn more about it. And if you still can't explain it, don't put your life savings into it. Hold things with verifiable value behind it. I'm beating a dead horse, but hold things that are backed by something. There are things that are valued in the real world, and there's a future coming where we're going to have a lot of these digital assets backed by that stuff. Buy that shit. Learn. Learn what happened in history. Just go back and watch the cycles of history talk. I'll repost it after this. Learn what our parents went through, our grandparents went through. Learn what happens cyclically through the world. Learn these cycles. Learn the psychology. Learn who you are. Learn your own internal state. Meet yourself. Okay, learn how to take control of your own assets. Learn how to take radical self-responsibility. Learn how to feed yourself. Learn how to add value to people's lives. Learn. I'm a Sikh. Okay, everybody calls it a Sikh, but the word is Sikh. Okay, the word Sikh literally means learn. So I'm a lifelong learner. No matter what happens, I will be okay. Not only I will be okay, my people will be okay. And if you're watching this, most likely you'll be okay if you've done something about this, if you're awake enough to actually be doing something about it. Build communities around you. that actually support you through these journeys and actually add value to your lives. And yeah, like and subscribe. I'm just kidding. Don't like this shit. I don't care. It's not even like on the algorithm. Don't subscribe. Nobody gives a shit. You can't even find it. Even if you subscribe, this won't be listed. You can't even find it on the channel. You literally got to go to Telegram. Okay? You got to know what my Telegram is. I'm not even going to tell you what that is. Ask somebody who you know. If you don't know somebody, then sorry, you're not meant to join it. I don't even know how you found this. And then there's a sheet inside of the pinned channel. I have 4 channels, and one of those channels has a pinned sheet that there'll be a link to even find this. Okay? Laugh a little bit. Live a life where you laugh. It's all a joke. It's all a game. This is fake. It doesn't exist. Dollars are fake. Bitcoin is fake. It literally does not exist. It has no value. The only thing that's giving it value is a hallucination that you have in your head while you're not living your actual life. And that's the scam, my loves. Hopefully it's been a pleasure learning this. It's been a pleasure speaking to such a full room. I think I'm going to start buying shit sometime soon. In all seriousness, we're going to let things collapse more because these collapses come in stages. We're going to let them collapse. In the meantime, we're going to keep building what we're building, keep laughing, keep enjoying, keep loving. We're in Bali. Like, how much more blessed can we get? And yeah, enjoy your life. Thanks for listening to me rant for this long. Hopefully this added some value to your life. And love you all, and we'll see you soon. Bye.